Hello and welcome to this new tutorial. In today's tutorial, we shall talk about the concept of globalization. Well, to start with, globalization is the process of increasing interconnectedness and interdependence among countries, cultures, economies, and societies through the exchange of goods, services, information, ideas, and people. So, when we talk about the idea of globalization or the concept of globalization, the entire concept of globalization basically can be summarized in two very important aspects, and that is its interconnectedness among the various countries, people, culture, economies, politics, information, idea, and you can think of anything which has interconnectedness and in fact it impacts the life of the people or the countries of the world. And the second very important aspect of this globalization is the interdependence. Yes, countries are interdependent among themselves for various reasons, for various purposes, and these interdependence among themselves eventually has increased the amount of interaction and exchanges which are taking among the countries, and therefore it involves the movement and integration of markets, technologies, investments, and labor across the national borders. So as you can see, because of this phenomena of globalization, because of the interconnectedness among the countries, because of the interdependence among the countries and societies, we see a great amount of movement and integration of markets today. The technologies which are being developed in one part of the corner is very much visible today, shaping the politics, society, and the economies of other part of the world. And we also see a huge amount of investment bringing in or coming into the country's economic sectors or segment, and that also has led to a labor movement across the national borders. Today, labor movements are not the traditional way wherein you would see that labor was moving only for, let's say, a manual work, but rather today in the era of globalization, your ideas, your innovation is also moving labor across the national borders, and this is all possible because of this globalization phenomena. And the one thing which has accelerated this phenomena is by the advancement in transportation, communication, and technology, which have made it easier for individuals, businesses, and the governments to interact on a global scale. So when we talk about the idea of globalization or the concept of globalization, as we already discussed, it is all about how nations are interconnected, how they are dependent upon each other for various aspects of our society, economies, information, services, idea, and people. And the larger movement and integration of a market has facilitated this phenomena. And one thing which has empowered this phenomena is the advancement in transportation. Transportation has become one of the most important factor which has contributed in a big way for the globalization. Gone are those days when man would sail from one part of the world to another and it would take him months to reach to his destination. But whereas today, because of the transportation, the improved advancement in transportation, communication, and technology, not only just man, material, and ideas are not anymore traveling for a month, rather they're traveling in quick time. So this has also facilitated easier for those individuals which are looking to travel around the world. It has also helped them in their businesses, and end of the day, governments are also now interacting with counterpart on the global scale more effectively and more quickly. So, to summarize, the first aspects of concept of globalization is basically a process of increasing interconnectedness and interdependence among the states, among the countries, and this basically involves an integration of markets, technology and investment across the border. And the phenomena which has accelerated this globalization is transportation, communication and technology. Further, now let us take some definitions given by some great scholars and organizations. So we have Anthony Giddens. He claimed that globalization is the intensification of worldwide social relations which link distant localities in such a way that local happenings are shaped by events occurring many miles away and vice versa. So as we have discussed about already in the beginning part, Anthony also believes that globalization is nothing but it has intensified today the global worldwide social relations. Today, any development may be shaping up or may be happening in one part of the world in a very localized environment, but because of current technological advancement, that local happenings has the ability to shape a larger event across the world. And all the major developments which we have seen in and around us are the classic example of the globalization, that a problem may be occurred somewhere in one part of the world, but you will also going to see the impact of it shaping up in many other parts of the world. So that is how we are interconnected and we are interdependent among ourselves. According to the World Bank, globalization refers to the process by which businesses or other organizations developed international influence or start operating on an international scale, leading to a greater independence among the world economies. This is another very important phenomena which World Bank is trying to put forward, that today in the era of globalization basically refers to the process by which businesses or other organizations have developed their international influence. And as we can see around us, we have a great businesses, we have a great corporate houses, we have great innovators who through their innovations are today influencing the international politics. And that influence on the international politics is not anymore at a very low scale or a medium scale, but rather it has become at the large scale. And these big powers today are influencing the international politics as we are actually speaking. Next, we have the example of Thomas Friedman. Now, according to Thomas Friedman, globalization is the inexorable integration of markets, nations, and technologies to a degree never witnessed before, in a way that is enabling individuals, corporations, and nations to reach around the world further, faster, deeper, and cheaper than ever before. So according to Thomas Friedman, when he talks about the globalization, he basically talks about that the globalization has reached to a point of a greater integration of markets, not only just markets but nations and technologies. And today these developments are enabling a lot of individuals, a lot of corporations, corporate houses, nations to reach around the world more quicker, more faster, more deeper, and including more cheaper than ever before. And this is all because of the technology, the way technology has brought in the innovative ideas into transportation and communication. Particularly, I would like to give an example of today's information and technology segment. The information and technology segment, the area through the development of various social media platforms. Today, we are in a better position to reach out any part of the world more faster and more quicker, right? So your message, your opinion is today heard by larger group of people more effectively, more faster and more cheaper rates than one can think about maybe 10 years back or 15 years back, where information development or information technological development was very slow. And therefore, what we need to understand here, that in the era of globalization, the advancement in the technology and the way that technology has assimilated into the market space has enabled hundreds and thousands and millions of individuals and corporations and nations around the world to reach out to their market, to reach out to their audience and followers more quicker, more faster, more deeper and more cheaper rate. And the last very important definition is by International Monetary Fund, IMF. According to IMF, globalization is a process of increased interconnectedness among the countries, most notably in the terms of economics, politics, culture, and communication. So, as we already have discussed, the significance, importance of interconnectedness among the countries, it is very much visible today that even IMF believe that globalization, the process has increased the interconnectedness among the countries, more precisely in terms of the economies, the way economics are being shaped today. The more economics are being interconnected among the countries because of the trade and import and export, and obviously politics as well, the culture of the people and the communication. So in real sense, globalization is nothing but a great process which has increased the interconnectedness and interdependence among the countries through their cultures, economies, societies, and obviously through the exchange of goods, services, information, ideas, and people. So this is about the concept of globalization, and in next slide we shall discuss about the dimensions of globalization. Now let's start discussing about the dimensions of globalization. Now there are four very important aspects which will help us to understand the different dimensions of globalization. Number one, economic globalization. Well, economic globalization impart trade and investment. It enhances the expansion of international trade and foreign direct investment as a barriers to commerce have been reduced. It also integrate national economies into a global market system characterized by multinational corporations operating across multiple countries. So when we talk about the economic globalization, that it is very much visible today in 21st century, that the way economic globalization has been carried out by various factors, which include the expansion of international trade, it includes the role of foreign direct investment, it also includes a very important in fact the role of MNCs and TNCs. So all these stakeholders have in a way brought the international market on a same platter. Today the integration of economic interests among the countries have achieved, I believe, the maximum utilization, and that is very much possible and visible through groupings which has emerged over a period of time, whether those are international groupings or those are regional groupings. These groupings or even sub-regional groupings have played a very important role on understanding the impact of globalization positively on economics. And as I said, among these economic globalization and among these economic globalization, the role of MNCs are very, very important, and therefore the interconnection of global financial market and system, where events in one market can have ripple effects worldwide, and that is very much visible that any global financial market, any development in global financial market cannot be studied and cannot be isolated anymore. Rather, you will see the impact of it across the global market, and the classic examples are 2008 financial crisis, Asian financial crisis of 1997, European sovereign debt crisis between 2010 and 12, and the recent one is Brexit 2016. Now these are the developments which has shaped the global financial market because of greater integration among the markets, and that is how the economic globalization has played its parts within the larger spectrum of globalization. Second we have is political globalization. The growing influence and number of international institutions such as United Nations, WTO and IMF that has governed aspects of international relations and global issues. These developments of transnational policies and regulations that transcended national borders, addressing issues like climate change, human rights and security. So apart from economic globalization, we also see a larger space being acquired by the political globalization. And why it is so happening? That's because we have a great influence of international institutions, and it is not just about United Nations, WTO or IMF, but we have many national, regional, supra-regional political association and political organizations which are today impacting, which are today contributing to the various issues with regard to climate change, human rights and security. And a decision taken by one group in the regional cooperation obviously is applicable on everyone, and as a result today nation states are aware of the political globalization. For example, a rebellion or a revolution may have occurred in one part of the world. It does not mean that it will remain there, never. We have seen the recent example of Arab uprising, how it took entire Middle East into its influence. Similarly, any fall of a political institution in one country does not mean that it will going to impact only one state. Rather, we see a fall of political institution, the fall of a government in any state will always have its own side effect in the neighboring states and neighboring countries. So therefore the international institutions such as UN, WTO and IMF has a big role to play as far as addressing these issues like climate change, human security, human rights and human securities are concerned, because these are very much going to impact everyone, not just one country but everyone. And therefore political globalization also has become a very important dimension of the globalization. Third we have is cultural globalization, the global spread of ideas, values and cultural products through media, travel and migration. So here one need to understand that today the ideas, values and cultural products are spreading across the world through media. Media plays a very important role as far as export of your culture, export of your ideas, exports of your values are concerned. And it is not just about media anymore, but you have people who are traveling more frequently, more easy than before, as well as we have a migration taking place. So as migrations are taking place, people are moving from one part of the world to another, they also carry along with them their culture. So as a result, globalization has also helped the world to spread the ideas, values, and cultural products through media, travel, and migration. So, the tension between the homogenization of a global culture, which is often referred to as a westernization or Americanization, and the hybridization of culture, where global and local culture blend to create new unique cultural forms. So as we are today talking about that, people are moving around, people are taking their ideas, people carry their values, cultures. It is not anymore like once upon a time people would say that there is a space for a homogenization of a global culture. Definitely not. Today there is a tension which is growing up between the homogenization of a global culture and the hybridization, because cultures of the globe are today blending together. Blend between the westernization and probably the easternization, one can say, is creating a blend of a new and unique cultural form. And this is very much visible today if you see how people are expressing their ideas and how people are expressing their values and cultural ethos through social media. In fact, if tomorrow social media platforms have been declared as a nation state in itself on a digital form, then you may have a new culture emerging out of this blending of new ideas and new ethos and new values are concerned. So therefore, in the era of globalization, cultural globalization also plays and influence societies in a bigger way than probably it could some 50 or 20 years back. And this is possible only because the social media, the way people are traveling more often, and migration which are taking place in the world. And the last very important dimension of globalization is technological globalization. The proliferation of internet, mobile technology, and social media, which facilitate instant communication and information exchange globally. Yes, therefore the rapid spread of technological innovation and scientific knowledge across the borders have enabled innovation and knowledge transfer more quicker and more faster. So end of the day, if the globalization has in real sense has achieved its outcome, it's only because of technological globalization. The way the internet has provided space, the way mobile technology has evolved, and obviously the use of social media, these three things has enabled people to facilitate their ideas, value more instantly, and all this takes place through internet, mobile technology, and social media. So therefore, as I said earlier, technology globalization or technological globalization is in a real sense a milestone, I would say, to achieve the real globalization. And in times to come, as technology will develop, as new innovation and new scientific knowledge will add on to the globalization process, we are going to see more new innovation and more knowledge transfer more quickly than ever before. So these are the four very important dimensions of globalization. So I hope you have understood the concept of globalization and the dimension of globalization. I will see you soon in the next tutorial. Till then, take care.